Need your note packet out to page 13.8. We're going to talk about blood pH. So this is your unit 13, chemistry in the home packet. We're going to talk about how your blood is affected by different systems in your body. So we've been talking about acids, bases, and the pH scale over the past week. Now we're going to lean in and kind of combine that with a little bit of biology and discuss blood pH. Now, under normal conditions, the pH of your blood remains anywhere from about 7.35 to 7.45. Now, remember, the pH scale, if it's above 7, is basic. So it's not very basic, but your blood is slightly basic. Now, during the day, your blood gets large doses of acid. Where does it get this from? Well, carbonic acid is produced from cells in your body. So your blood gets doses of carbonic acid from your cells. Secondly, phosphoric acid and hydrochloric acid are produced from digestion. So that also gives your body a dose of acid. And then finally, when you exercise, you produce lactic acid. So all day long, you are producing large doses of acid that gets put into your blood. So carbonic acid from your cells, phosphoric acid and hydrochloric acid from digestion, and then lactic acid from exercise. Now, that would mean that throughout the day, the pH of your blood should be going down, right? Because as we add an acid, the pH decreases as we increase our amount of hydrogen ion. But your blood has things called buffers. Buffers help to keep the blood pH at a constant level. So buffers help to keep your blood pH at a constant level. So even though you're adding acid to that, it's going to keep it at a stable 7.35 to 7.45. So buffers resist changes in pH. So your blood contains buffers that help to keep that pH at about 7.35 to 7.45, and it's going to resist those changes in pH that would be brought on by the carbonic acid, the phosphoric acid, and hydrochloric acid, and lactic acid. Now, as we just said, the body helps to maintain that pH of the blood through blood buffers. That's one of the ways. So those blood buffers help to maintain pH, but there are other factors that also keep the pH of your blood at that healthy range. Your breathing rate. When you breathe, expel CO2. If you built up too much CO2, the acid level in your blood would increase and the blood pH would drop. So your breathing rate helps to maintain that. Another is your kidneys. Your kidneys help to filter your blood, which keeps that pH at a consistent level as well. So blood buffers, your breathing rate, and your kidneys. Now, what happens if your blood gets too acidic or too basic? Well, that is called blood acidosis, acidosis, and alkalosis. Alkalosis means alkaline, which means a base. So acidosis occurs when the pH of the blood drops or stays below 7.35, meaning your blood is too acidic, right? Because as the pH drops, we get more acidic. Now, what are some causes of blood acidosis? What are some things that would cause our blood to become too acidic? Well, the first would be something called COPD. COPD, you might have seen them in commercials. COPD is caused from smoking. Now, what COPD does is it does not allow your lungs to be able to expel CO2. So you're not able to expel CO2 from breathing. And when you cannot expel your CO2 by breathing out, that CO2 builds up and causes your blood to become too acidic. So COPD from smoking, you can't expel that CO2 from your lungs because your lungs are damaged. So That builds up the acid in your blood. Also, holding your breath. When you hold your breath, you are not expelling CO2. That means the amount of CO2 is increasing, which means it's becoming more acidic, which means the pH of the blood is dropping. So you'll watch a little video clip, a TED Ed talk about David Blaine and how he was able to hold his breath for over 17 minutes. He talks about how he hyperventilated in order to be able to do that. When you hyperventilate, you expel a lot of carbon dioxide, which actually causes the pH of your blood to go up and become more basic. And then as he held his breath, the CO2 began to build up and became more acidic. But by hyperventilating, he was able to cause his blood pH to go up so that it had a higher threshold before it began to drop. So holding your breath actually causes the pH of your blood to become more acidic. So that's blood acidosis, when the pH goes too low, so below 7.35. Alkalosis. Alkaline means basic. So this is when the pH of your blood rises or stays above 7.35 to 7.45. So if it's greater than that range, that is called alkalosis because it's becoming too basic. Because remember, closer to 14 is a base. What is a cause of the blood becoming too basic? Meaning you don't have enough acid in your blood. If you have chronic vomiting, usually due to bulimia, which is an eating disorder. Bulimia is where you force yourself to vomit up food. That causes the loss of that hydrochloric acid in your stomach. Remember that hydrochloric acid, it gets into your blood through digestion. So if you're vomiting that up, now you don't have enough acid and your pH of your blood goes up. So we've got blood acidosis and we have blood alkalosis. So just a little background about how blood pH is valuable for us and our health. You're going to watch, as I said, that TED Talk with David Blaine now, where he kind of explains kind of the science behind how he was able to hold his breath. So think about what was happening to the acid level of his blood and then the basic level of his blood as that was happening. All right. Bye.